Welcome to Neutralizing Social Anxiety, How to Be Calm and Confident When Awkwardly Reemerging. Awkwardly reemerging? What might we be reemerging from, Cathy?
Oh, just 16 months of isolation and stress where our poor brains were reconditioned to avoid all humans and stay alone and lots of fear. So the survival brain was very activated for many of us. And one thing I've noticed is that even though I talk about a lot of the work I do is with people who are shy and awkward, being more connected, and I did so much work on myself, I feel like those skills got really rusty. And as I go out in the world now, it was like the first time I had dinner with someone in a restaurant, I was like, is this okay? My brain was like really worried, like, oh, no, can't take off my mask. I'm like, really, it's okay. And it took some effort to just like convince myself to relax. My anxiety was a lot higher, doing things that I normally would do all the time. And I just want to normalize that for people because I think just normalizing it, taking off the should or the judgment that I know I had for myself at first, it it made it easier. Because when I was shitting on myself, like, this should be easy, you should be able to do this gracefully, you should not be stressed. That didn't reduce my stress at all. In fact, it raised it quite a bit.
I
So
remember a call where you were shitting on yourself, just a little.
yeah, I'm like, I have to go to dinner and I'm scared and I've changed my clothes 3 times and I'm gonna be late now because I can't find my mask and I don't even need it. Yeah. So I just, if you would, if you just take a nice, slow, deep breath right here and right now. And if you can, just let yourself know this can be challenging. We haven't practiced, it's something we haven't practiced in 16 months. And it's okay to be a little rusty. If you hadn't been on a bike in 16 months and you got on, you might give yourself a few minutes to warm up. And it's okay to give yourself a little time to warm up. And the fact that you're here, we're going to do some tapping and some clearing. That's going to give you a big edge over a lot of people that I know. Or I talked to some friends that are not tapping people, and they're like, they're very agitated. They're really exhausted by this whole process. So
Yeah.
you being here, if you can, just give yourself a pat on the back for taking care of yourself. That's pretty awesome.
And this is a unique time where much of the population shares this awkward reemerging worldwide. But I want to also say that if you happen to be watching this 5 years from now, um, awkward reemerging can happen after we're sick
Hmm.
or after we end a relationship
Or have a baby,
or have
change
a
jobs,
baby or switch careers or any kind of significant change
move to a new
when you
city.
move to a new city. Um, there's a very human, I was busy patting myself on the back.
I was wondering what you were still doing.
Well,
He's
yeah,
very proud
because
of
like
himself.
out on the trail today, there was a group of about 6 people, and it was the first time. And I don't run into a lot of people at the time in trails that I go to, but there were 6 people that were probably in their 70s, maybe even older, good shape. No one was wearing a mask, and they were all really like present with one another, and they were comfortable with me. And that was really awkward and really delightful and awkward. And I found that, like, because we were preparing for this, I'd been doing some more of my own tapping. I tap every day. And I was tapping on like, okay, I'm going to be awkward. They're going to be awkward. Some people are going to be less awkward. Some people are going to just be natural. And but my sensors, and this is, I think, one of the things that I really hope that we hear. There are those of us who have really good sensors. Some have called us maybe hypersensitive. And we pick up on things. We pick up on things that maybe the casual person walking down a trail or walking into a room or walking into a restaurant does not. And if that's true for you, my hope is that maybe we can take some of the things that you've lumped into being socially anxious and put them in a different category. Like, I'm aware. I'm aware of things, and maybe I haven't really taken the time to label some of the energies that make my nervous system try to catch my attention until I acknowledge them. Spaces that are, you know, some people walk into a lunchroom and they're just like, it's a lunchroom. What's the big deal? Now, my nervous system, my primitive brain picks up, oh, those people are jockeying for status. My sensors pick that up. Those people are upset with one another. Those people are eh, lots of different things. So, like a large lunchroom, until I learned and was taught some of the things we're going to be talking about in this workshop, um, it was overwhelming to me because it just felt like too much. Um, and by being able to discern, like, oh, that energy or is people, gossiping. I happen to be allergic to gossip. If I get too close to it, it's really hard on my nervous system. I don't know exactly what to do with it. And so, like, right distance, right depth is, oh, they're gossiping. Oh, they're being nice to each other. I'm gonna just move my body. I don't even have to necessarily talk to the nice people, but just like moving away from one and to the other, there's a fluidity there. I give myself permission, whereas before I might be anchored, like Cathy said, in this, well, I should be more comfortable here. This is just a restaurant or a cafeteria or whatever, a company party. Why am I anxious? And so I believe that as I've worked with lots of clients who are naturally have extra sensors that are capable of picking up things about the environment, and they have labeled themselves or been labeled by professionals as being socially anxious, because they're suffering. They're suffering from the the energy of being anxious in situations that they really want to be calm and confident. Um, I believe that this is a part of it. It is a part of acknowledging that certain situations may be triggering for our old traumas, even though other people might not find them triggering. Um, we do, and so that's on us to help heal the trauma. But it may be something that we never go out for. Um, my father was an alcoholic. I'm just probably not going to be my full self in a place where people are intoxicated to that level. I I know that about myself. So
Yeah.
that's that's some of the stage setting that I hope that we can, in this period of time, start discerning, like, okay, what's mine to tend to? What is really in the space here that I'm picking up on, that by being aware of it and giving it a name inside of myself, I can go, oh, that's what's going on. And I'm okay not being a part of it or not getting too close to it. Um, that type of thing.
Yeah. I think that's really important. I'd love to do some tapping on the should just before we dive into the rest of it. And one other thing I want to add is for many of us, like I've been at home alone for 16 months. I had a cat who passed away in January, but it's been very quiet here. My survival brain tuned to a new level of noise around me and activity. There weren't a lot of things going on. One of the things that made me most anxious when I went out is I was hearing all these other noises and people behind me. And because my calibration had been set for very quiet, I was very agitated. I'm like, oh, I should pay attention to everything again. So I just, you were talking, Rick, about if we're sensitive, we're getting all these signals that a lot of people don't even notice. Where I imagine if you're on this call, you're a pretty tuned in person and you probably pick up energies really well. And you're picking up anger and frustration or jockeying or whatever, but your survival brain might be on more of alert because you're just not used to the rustle and bustle anymore. So just realizing that helped me go, oh, okay, survival brain, it's all right. So can we just start there and I'll roll right into the shoulds? Is that okay?
Yeah, if you're new to tapping, we're not going to be teaching it tonight, but we have a guide at thrivingnow.com/tapping. It's free and you're welcome to. But the cool thing is you can kind of mimic and follow along with us and get the benefit. So
Yeah. All right, karate chop. Hey, survival brain.
hey, survival brain,
You did so good.
you did so good.
We just made it through an international pandemic.
We just made it through an international pandemic.
And you got used to a little different level of activity.
And you got used to a different level of activity and
And there was
engagement.
still a lot of anxiety.
And there's still a lot of anxiety in the air and
And you
inside.
learned not to be near people.
We were told to avoid people.
You did such a good job with that.
You did such a good job with that.
And I have really good news for you.
And I have really good news for you.
For most of us, that pandemic is ending.
For most of us, that pandemic is ending.
And it's okay to start emerging again.
And it is okay to start emerging again.
This might feel really odd.
This might feel really odd.
Because we haven't done it in so long.
We haven't done it in so long.
And it's okay to be around humans again.
It's okay to be around humans again. We don't have to.
So, top of the head, I know you're not used to all the noise and bustle.
I know you're not used to all that energetic noise and bustle.
Eyebrow are all the hugs.
Hugs? What are they?
Side of the eye, are waitresses moving and waiters moving behind you?
Waiters moving behind you.
Under the eye,
People
or having
closer
to
than 6 feet.
yeah. Under the eye, or people not wearing masks.
People not wearing masks.
Under the nose, and it may seem really strange and stressful.
It'll probably at times feel really strange and stressful.
Chin, and that's okay.
And that's okay.
Collarbone, we'll get used to this again.
We will get used to it again.
Under the arm, and we can take it nice and slow.
And we can take it nice and slow.
On top of that, and take care of ourselves as we go.
Take care of ourselves as we go.
Just take a nice deep breath. And just notice if that helps you feel a little settled at all, just kind of giving yourself permission there.
Yeah.
And if it's okay, I'd like to just do a quick round on the shoulds because they came up so strong for me. And I think that a lot of us, especially if we've struggled to be more social, I'm like, I've already learned this. How dare I have to learn it again? How dare that not work better? So karate chop, even though I really should be good at this.
Oh, even though I really should be good at this.
I should be able to jump right back on the horse.
I should be able to jump right back on the horse.
I learned all of this before.
I learned all this. I made such progress before.
What's my problem?
What's my problem?
The truth is I haven't done this in a while.
The truth is I haven't done this in a while.
And maybe it's okay to take a little bit of time.
And maybe it's okay to take a little time.
Top of that, no, it's not okay.
It's not okay.
Eyebrow, I'm an adult and I should be good at this.
I should be good at this.
Side of the eye, I shouldn't have to learn it again.
I shouldn't have to learn it again.
Under the eye, I shouldn't have to practice.
I shouldn't have to practice the skill.
Under the nose, I shouldn't be tired after one dinner out.
I shouldn't be exhausted after one dinner out.
Chin, what's my problem?
What's my problem?
Collarbone, I should be much better at this.
I should be much better at this, and I'm not.
Under the arm, and I will get better at this.
Yeah. And I will get better at this.
Top of the head. It's okay to take it a little slow.
It is okay to take it a little slow.
Take a nice deep breath. And I just wanted to throw that out there because honestly, I went out to dinner with a friend a couple weeks ago, the first restaurant dinner I'd had out. And I literally, after an hour and a half, I came home and I fell asleep on the couch for 12 hours and I woke up exhausted the next day. And I'm like, what's wrong with me? And I'm like, oh, I just haven't done this in a while. Like my whole system was like overwhelmed by all the noises and it was on hyper alert. And the next dinner was much easier. I only slept for 6 hours afterwards.
Hope you hear that even professionals that practice this all the time, we can ask like, what is going on? And be really baffled and critical. I think that the the reminder, which is embedded through practice, the skill of like, oh, I'm being hard on myself. What is it that my body has just gone through? What has my body and mind just um, been exposed to? What's present here? And when you do that, you I believe that there's a natural compassion on the other as the shoulds clear and the tapping that we did. You may have to practice that like every day. I used to shit on myself so much that it was shocking to me like 3 weeks in, like, wow, I should on myself. Like, I should wear diapers. I should on myself so much. But there is a side where you get, oh, I'm shitting on myself. What's up? And that's where, I just shit on myself.
I just shit on myself.
I'm so human.
I am so human.
And that was hard.
And that was hard.
And sometimes it's too hard.
And sometimes it's too hard.
Sometimes it's too much.
Sometimes it's too much.
And I really give myself permission
And I really give myself permission
and compassion.
and compassion.
And I'm practicing recalibrating myself.
And I am practicing recalibrating myself.
And that's a skill.
And that is a skill.
You think of any device that has to be calibrated, satellite dish, we have technology that does a lot of that recalibration now, but any kind of device where you have to recalibrate it, it's a skill to be able to do that. And that's why this is a real skill workshop.
Mhm.
Neutralizing social anxiety comes with certain skills. If you're really anxious, recalibrating to neutral says certain things like, do I feel like I have to? Am I shooting on myself? If you are saying you have to go, and there's a whole article I wrote about this, a freedom loving person who feels like they have to is going to feel anxious because it violates a core value of yours. It's akin to if you value being kind to animals and you were going to be cruel to an animal, you would want your body to go, wait, what?
What am I doing?
No, this isn't as obvious as something like that. But you're being sort of cruel to yourself by saying, I have to do this thing,
Mm-hmm.
pressuring, coercing, obligating, demanding, punishing, criticizing, all the things that we do. And so, like, if I were to say, hey, what's present in a lot of those of us that could be labeled socially anxious, it's this have to.
Mm-hmm.
And I get it. We're trained from the earliest ages to have have tos imposed on us. We internalize it. And this is the real skill. is to take something that looks and smells and feels in your nervous system like a have to, and I'm gonna lead us in what's a bit of refusal and contrast tapping. So what that means is we give ourselves an opportunity to say no, and we give ourselves an opportunity to feel the have to as well. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
Okay. So think of something that it actually isn't life or death if you weren't to do it, weren't to go to the event or something like that, but it still feels like, oh, I have to. I really have to. It could be stronger than that. You know, some people, if there's a little whiff of have to, they feel it at a 9 or 10. Bless you, been there. How strong does it feel? How true is it? Say, I have to go.
I have to go.
I have to go. And write down that number, 0 to 10.
I mean, it's about a 7.
Yeah. So if you feel like that's at a 7, that's going to be in the background vibrating, and vibration of have to grabs us. Like anxiety is often felt here. Have tos grab us in this area of our energy. Make sense? Even though I have to,
Even though I have to.
I just have to.
I just have to.
That's the truth.
That's the truth.
Even though I don't have to,
Even though I don't have to.
I have to.
I have to.
Even though I have to,
Even though I have to.
I don't have to.
I don't have to.
Even though I really have to.
Even though I really have to.
I hate that.
I hate that.
I'm open to not feeling like I have to.
I'm open to not feeling like I have to.
I have to.
I have to.
Or else.
Or else.
Eyebrow. Or else.
Or else.
By the eye. That makes me feel anxious.
That makes me feel anxious.
Yeah. What if I don't have to?
What if I don't have to?
One of those, oh, don't tell me that.
Don't tell me that.
I have to go.
I have to go.
The only way I'll go is if I have to go.
The only way I'll go is if I have to go.
Have to go.
I have to go.
Or else.
Or else.
What if the or else is okay?
What if the or else is okay?
Eyebrow. What if it's not?
What if it's not?
Yeah. What if I can't handle the or else?
What if I can't handle the or else?
Under the eye. Maybe I'm choosing to go.
Maybe I'm choosing to go.
Who knows? Because there or else.
Because there or else.
I don't want.
I don't want.
What if I don't have to?
What if I don't have to?
Okay. What if I'm choosing to because of the or else?
What if I'm choosing to because of the or else?
So what's the or else? Because that's the threat. And I'll be clear. Sometimes there is a threat. I must go to my mother's birthday party, or else she will never speak to me again, and she will put the whole family against me. And I am just not up to that level of toxicity. So if that's something that you've had in your life, imagine for a moment, if you can, I feel like I have to. Okay. Or else, oh, they will turn on me.
They will turn on me.
They will gossip about me.
They will gossip about me.
Oh, I might get fired.
I might get fired.
Oh, the or else I don't want.
The or else I don't want.
And they're very predictable.
And they're very predictable.
And I'm not making this up.
I'm not making it up.
I know they're or else.
I know there or else.
I'm choosing to go rather than deal with their or else.
I'm choosing to go rather than deal with their or else. I think that's really useful. And I also think that I sometimes create or else's that have nothing to do with reality. So I have some people in my life that there's an or else. They're like, it will be a lot of paperwork afterwards. And I also sometimes I have I'm not always aware of my shoulds, my have tos. It's like I have to show up early. I have to be the star of the event the whole time. I have to engage with all the people and everyone has to like me. I have to bring the best dish the whole time. I can never be ungraceful or have to like apologize for anything. I have to stay to the end of the evening. Like I have a whole list of these subconsciously running. And then of course I'm dreading because I'm writing a script before I even am in the moment. As opposed to I get to show up and hang out for as long as feels good to me, and I get to talk to the people and be myself in the moment. And it may not be appropriate for me. I'm actually kind of a shy person, so like it might be just entirely appropriate just to listen to some people and talk with them and not have to show that I'm a really good attendee or whatever it is. um, so I think we can get caught up in those. And honestly, sometimes when I think about the or else, it's like, I'm afraid I won't be invited back, but that's probably not going to happen. Maybe they'll be mad at me, but most of my friends are pretty cool about that. So sometimes there isn't really an or else, like that we make it like we have to do this, but
Try
it's
to lead us on that. And again, like part of the real skill is with tapping, you start with it being like if it feels real to you, treat it as if it's real.
yeah.
We're not trying to force it, but I believe that as you tap on something, you give it energy and acknowledgement that there is an often a natural divergence. If the or else really is like I know these people, I know this situation or one's like it, and I know the or else is at least more possible than unlikely.
Mhm.
And then there's the, oh, yeah, this is coming from other situations kind of splashing over, or it's my imagination,
Mhm.
maybe because I feel like I have to. And so I'm struggling with that energy.
Karate chop. Even though I have some or else's in my life,
Even though I do have some or else's in my life. Who
I might
doesn't?
have made them up for this event.
I'm curious if I've made them up for this event.
Did I write a script for myself?
Did I write a script for myself?
And I'm grading myself against the script I created
And I'm grading myself against the script I created?
that has nothing to
I
do
would
with
never do that.
reality.
Maybe that doesn't have anything to do with reality.
Top of the head, I have to go.
I have to go.
I have to perform.
I have to perform.
Side of the eye, I have to be perfect.
I have to be perfect.
Under the eye, I have to stay the entire time.
I have to stay the entire time, no
Under
matter
the nose,
what.
I have to get an A plus on attending this event.
I have to get an A plus on attending this event.
Chin, who says?
Who says?
Collarbone, what if I just go for a few minutes?
What if I just go for a few minutes?
Under the arm, what if I go and just talk to a couple people?
What if I go and talk to a couple people?
Top of the head, what if I don't aim for A plus?
What does even A plus mean in this?
What if I just attend as me?
I want to attend as me.
Take a nice deep breath. When I remember that, I get a lot more relaxed. And I often am not aware of the scripts I'm writing in my head or my shoulding on myself until once I'm like, oh, I'm really tense. What's going on? And if I start looking at the source of that tension, I'm like, oh, okay, I haven't seen this person in over a year and a half. I want to dazzle them with how wonderful I am so that I will feel good about myself, as opposed to they haven't seen people either. It'd be really nice if we just connected as humans with each other. Um, so that really helps me. So we're going to give
One of
you
the things that you discover about emotional work is that anxiety has an intelligence to it.
there's a
And if
reason.
your assumption is that if something is showing up and it's not to be necessarily fixed, but to be with and to explore, and I, again, tapping because we're with it and we're providing comfort at the same time, it can make it easier to cope with the energies as they start rising. And if you do this, not as you're walking into the event, like do it then in your car or take a break, but do the pre-paving. And so, like, one of the things, do you have to go? Can you make it so that if you're going, you going is a choice, maybe a shitty choice, okay? But if your nervous system feels like, I could, I could not go. This isn't life or death. I don't like the consequences. I'm actually looking forward to situations where there wouldn't be any or else's. Ooh, wouldn't that be sweet? You know, um, a lot of people get very sick in order to get the uh, acceptable excuse for not showing up for the have tos. That was true for me. Like it was an aspect. It wasn't all of my illness. Um, but one of the things I noticed is that even years later, if there was a have to event that was still like, oh, I have to go, I would start feeling sick. Ooh, and that's a clue. And so the more that we can be in some measure of choice, um, you're going to lower, that's the calming part of this. The calming part of this is it's it is a choice. It may be like paying taxes. Yeah, I don't want to go to jail. Um, so I'm going to pay my taxes, but I'm choosing to. It may be that, all of those other or else's. But our goal is to get to a place where if you're not operating from have tos, you're operating from choice, you're going to start noticing that you have more energy for things that really are choices. So a lot of times people that like one have to can wipe them out for 2 months. And I mean that with deep respect. Like Cathy said, going to that one dinner and you slept for 12 hours. I know people that will do one have to event where they feel they're trapped and they can't leave and they don't go to anything else for 2 months after. And I've had them go to the next event of that after tapping and making it like, yeah, I actually have some choice here. And I could leave. I really only have to show up and be seen. Like I could leave after a half hour and probably no one would even notice. So now they have an exit. Oh, exits. Love the exit. If I'm anxious about going someplace, part of this skill is what's my graceful exit and what's my emergency exit? So I'd like you to think about that event that you feel like you have to go and imagine, is there some kind of exit that you could take somewhat gracefully? It might be like, oh, um, yeah, it looks like tonight I'm only going to be able to stay for a little while, but I'm glad to be able to see you all, if that's true, or, um,
Something came
and
up
so you're
was when I
pre-paving the way that you're not going to be there the whole time.
Yeah, you can pre-pave it. I've also just said something came up, and it might be that I'm exhausted. Someone shared in the chat that they went to a barbecue, and after 45 minutes, they were really exhausted and they left. And I think that's just a normal thing. We haven't been to the gym a lot, so we get tired faster. I had a bunch of we had a dinner outdoors at a distance a month ago, and these are people that normally we hang out for 5 or 6 hours. We have a great time. After an hour and a half, everyone's like, I'm really done. Like, I love you all and I want to see, I'm like, don't want to leave, but I'm just, it's just normal. I think right
That's an environment where you have people that have practiced this. And
now.
so I hope you heard, just to reiterate, people felt that they could say to one another, hey, I'm done. You know, I thank you and I'm done. And like that's my aspiration. That's emotional freedom to me.
Mhm.
And not all situations allow that. So um, if you can, and this is the type of thing on the Thriving Now Community Center, thrivingnow.center, feel free to explore like, okay, here's my situation. What are some possible exits? So I will reach suddenly into my pocket, pull out my phone, and say, something personal has come up. I need to go.
Mhm.
Something personal is, I need to go, right? And if someone's worried and compassionate, I'll say, it's going to be okay, but it's something I need to take care of right now. Um, that's like the emergency exit. It's not a complete lie. And I will tell you that part of my anxiety goes away if I know that like I can make up any story that I want. If the situation is toxic for me, I give myself permission to be the storyteller, you know. And I'm tapping because that's still, I so value honesty and transparency. But again, hear what I said. If it's a toxic situation for me, and people are having a hard time hearing my no, I will I'll disappear. I'll just go say I got to go to the bathroom and leave. I'll do whatever I need to take care of myself. And I will tell you that that took my anxiety about certain situations from a 10 to a 2. Huge big deal. And I've used it maybe twice in 20 years. That's all. And just knowing that there's an exit that you can use, that you've practiced with yourself, that you can do that. Um, and so I would practice telling, like I tend to be a terrible liar. So I would say, oh my goodness, something's come up. I need to go. It'll be fine, and I'll send you I'll send you a text tomorrow or whatever. Does this make any sense, Kathy?
No,
Am I the
it's
only one that
great.
finds this kind of exit strategy important to
No,
have?
you helped me that with a lot with it with my family actually. Like family can be really hard, and I would go and visit, and I would just feel trapped. And um, some families are not as good with boundaries as others, and I would just feel kind of invaded and trapped. And you helped me come up with some legitimate exit strategies. Oh, work called, or like I would text my someone at work and I'd say, please call me, and they would call. I'm like, oh, work called. I've got to go take this. And I would go and like, so like it was not a lie, but it was a way to, once I had some exits out of there, it made it a lot easier if I was starting to get overwhelmed. And I just want to balance it too. When we, if when we're first working with have tos, sometimes it's like, I don't want to do anything. Like it's all overwhelming. And if we want to get better at this, sometimes it's important to go to the gym and go to some events, even if it feels a little overwhelming, but we can make it in small bits. So, we're talking, Rick and I are talking about neutralizing social anxiety. There's three things we want to hit tonight. One is the have to, the trapped feeling, and how can we neutralize that? And having an exit strategy is really powerful for that. I want to make sure we hit the other topics. Rick, should we move on to the next
And
one?
I want someone mentioned in the chat, you can feel like you can't leave in the middle of a presentation with 700 people. But if you had a stroke, you get to leave. Okay. If if there's a lot of reasons that allow us to leave, I will tell you that I get to leave this session. I could say something has come up that I have to tend to. I'm sorry. We have to end this. Now, the other part of the exit strategy is the confidencing part. I'm just going to briefly touch on it here because when you're presenting something to 700 people, I'm assuming that it matters to you, that you're not just a slave being whipped into staying there and doing it. And I know for this person that there's a lot that they're going to be talking about that matters. Now, you guys matter to me. This topic matters to me. It would really be like a sacred exit for me to say, I need to leave. I must give myself the option of a sacred exit, even from something that really matters to me. Even that's something that might hurt my reputation with other people. They might question my whatever. I must give myself that exit. Maybe you don't. Maybe if you had that exit, you might feel like, oh, I'll take it. But by giving yourself the sacred exit, you're also saying, this is something I am really choosing. I want to make this kind of impact. This work matters to me. This message matters to me. I'm here doing this for a lot of reasons. And even for people that are doing it for the money, that money's going to something. My future self matters to me. My family matters to me. My, there's a reason, and that's the confidencing part that says, why am I going to this? Well, my family can be really a bunch of worry warts, but I love them. And so I don't have to go, but I can be there for a bit of time until it's time for me to exit. And it's a sacred decision to go. I can show up even though my baby was awake at 4 a.m., right? Um, I had a 20-minute nap. I can be here because it's a sacred choice. And that's the confidencing. That's what I did prior to the call. I closed my eyes and I tuned to, I don't have to go. I can always cancel. Humans have to cancel for lots of reasons, or they cancel for lots of reasons. And the confidencing comes from, I know Cathy's going to be there unless she has to cancel. And other people that matter to me are going to be there, and some people that I haven't seen for a while, or maybe don't even know that it's the first chance that they're going to hear some of these things that have mattered, that have helped me and have helped so many other people. So that's the confidencing part. We quiet down the have to trapped feeling that brings guaranteed anxiety, and then we confidence like this, I'm going there because this matters to me, because that's the balance. Once the confidence exceeds the, you know, the arousal level, the confidencing comes up, then you can be there. And you won't feel like you're being anxious to be there. There'll be more excitement.
Yeah, I also feel really dumb to share. When I'm presented to large groups and I feel overwhelmed, I remind myself I don't need to be there for all of them and meet all of their needs. I can just, I set the intention, the people that need to hear me, I'm going to be there for them. When I tried to be there for every single one, some of them, I was not the message for them. And when I allowed myself to just be there for the people that were aligned with me, it made it so much easier. Like it took a lot of the pressure off of myself. So that was another choice I could make, that made it easier for me. And I think I was more dynamic with the people that were there to hear me because I wasn't trying to stretch myself quite so much. So I love the chat too. There's great sharing, and I love that people are diving into this because it's a tough subject. So we talked about have tos and be feeling trapped. Are you ready for the next topic?
Yeah, let's touch on it, and then we're going to take our break,
Oh,
and it'll give people a
time
chance
flies
to
when we
do
have time.
some, yeah, and then we'll
Okay.
come back for another
Mhm. So
almost
the
half
next
hour.
one is to have supportive people there for you,
Mm.
either at the event. And one of the things, I work with a lot of people that are very socially anxious. They don't have a lot of local friends. They may not have a lot of friends at all. And they're going out to make friends. And they're like, that's not fair. If I had friends, I wouldn't, like it wouldn't be so hard. If you have a buddy to go with you, it's great. I love it when I can walk into an event together, but I'm often going into new realms where a lot of my friends are just not interested. My existing friends aren't interested, and a lot of my friends live across the country. So I've done a lot of this with Rick when I first started dating, especially. I'm like, okay, can I call you before I go into the date because I'm really nervous about this, and I'll text you 15 or 20 minutes in to let you know if they're an axe murderer or not, and then I'm gonna call you when I go home. And that made a huge difference for me. It allowed me to date far more than I would have, and it brought my anxiety level down because I would send Rick the contact information. If I went to a meetup, I would say, "This is the meetup I'm going to at this time. I'll text you." So just know our survival brain does not ever like to feel alone. When it feels alone, it's going to be much more alert, much more anxious, much more scared. It will take a lot more time. Like we're going to be vigilant. It's going to suck the energy out of us. If our survival brain knows there's someone who knows where we are, someone who's looking out for us, um, even just like I could text, "Hey, can you call me so I can get out of here?" Like I knew somebody was there. I'm going to take that text and would follow through. So there's a lot of ways that you can do this as you go forward. And if you don't have anyone, having a coach do this too could be really great, a coach or therapist. As we're first going back out in the world, especially when we're feeling heightened nervousness, more anxiety, our survival brain's more on alert after everything that happened, making sure that we have some support, we don't feel quite so alone,
Yeah.
is really powerful.
So trauma informed, um, the absence of threat is useful, but that's not actually what the primitive brain is looking for most. The primitive brain is looking for connection. Connection. It's why we come together for this. It's why Cathy and I connect before the session for even just 30 seconds or a few minutes, because connection really helps. And this is tender. I know I've worked with people that don't feel like anyone would care enough or not think that they were weak, and there's been some of that in the chat, like, oh, I'm viewed as weak socially. uh, I'm sorry, most people, if you really are a sensitive person and you look around, most people, um, I don't consider strong presences. Strong, safe, connected, listening. The type, it's rare for me to find people that I really drop in with. Um, if you are in a place where you don't have someone, and I'm just reaffirming that I believe that we have in the Thriving Now community someone who would be willing to receive your text at a particular time in their time zone. It's not the middle of the night, and and give you a quick go ahead, or I'm here, let me know. I'm going to text you in 15 minutes as we agreed. I'm going to, and we can have a 5-minute conversation after it's over. And I'm saying that because I'm that type of person. I've done that. And I do not consider it weakness. My partner asked before this session, because I was tired and she could tell, she said, "What are you needing tonight?" And I said, "Some encouragement." And she gave me some verbal encouragement. And then, you know, 2 minutes before we started, an "I love you" and 3 hearts. Am I weak for asking for that? No, because I'm really like, freedom, connection, these are precious. And so if you've been told and criticized and judged for being a hardy person who really wants people who get you, um, and get your needs, which are not weaknesses. We're not designed to walk into a large group of people feeling disconnected from everyone. And For those of us that have had to make it conscious, we we reach out. We touch base with people. We develop a relationship with someone that or someone's that get that it's easier. And
Yeah, I
I'll
think.
admit when Cathy, you would call me early on and said, I just wanted to hear your voice. She'd be calling at the time when she knew she was going to get my voicemail. And I was like, what is that? And then one day I called her up and I got her voicemail. And I was like, oh, I feel better. That's what she means.
Yeah, it just hearing our survival brain, our that part of our brain just like it just like that person exists in the world. Like they're there to reach out to, even if I don't get them. And I think, people were talking about how like I think there's a lot of image in our world. We watch TV and there's a lot of people that are going through life willpower, following all these shoulds, but they're really shut down to what their actual experiences are and their connection with others. I've been with people like that. There certainly are people that are deeply connected and are extroverted and they can go out in the world and connect. But there's a lot of people that appear extroverted and they're really just steamrolling over everybody around them because they're not connected to, there's no real connection. They're all on shoulds. They're just like willpowering their way through life. And if you get in their way, they're going to trample you. And I don't think anyone on this call is someone who wants to trample people. I imagine we're all people that really want to heart connect and be with people and be vulnerable. And I just want to honor that that's a harder path to walk, but it's much richer and much more joyful. And we're learning, we're going to go over, a couple more, another skill too, but these can help you walk that way and be with people. Because if you're super anxious, it's very hard to connect. If you're super exhausted, if you're super have to, should, I don't have room for other people. I'm like, I've already decided I've got to be the star of the event. I'm being the star as opposed to being with people. So
So let's
if
take
you're, go ahead.
um, would you lead us just in a tapping around whatever's coming up around having support? There are times when we
Yeah.
haven't had support, or the times when the support wasn't, really getting us.
Karate chop. I shouldn't need any support.
I shouldn't need any support.
I'm not in kindergarten.
I'm not in kindergarten.
I don't need a buddy.
I don't need a buddy.
What if I do?
What if I do?
What if it can add so much joy and ease
What if it can add so much joy and ease?
to know I'm not alone?
And no, I'm not alone.
To know that at least one other person in this world cares about me.
And know and feel connected to one other person who cares and is tracking me a little.
It really helps my survival brain.
It really helps my survival brain and my heart.
Yeah, my heart feels so much warmer having a buddy.
My heart feels so much warmer having a buddy.
Side of the eye, why is that wrong?
Why is that wrong? Why does anyone think that's wrong?
Under the eye, who decided that?
Who decided that?
Under the nose, I've learned a lot of really good skills in kindergarten.
Uh, I learned a lot of really good skills in kindergarten. Like
Chin.
I have to go it alone.
I learned to wash my hands,
I learned to wash my hands.
say please and thank you.
Please and thank you.
Collarbone, maybe having a buddy is one of those really good things I learned.
Maybe those having a buddy is one of those things I wish I had learned.
Under the arm, what if I can take that forward now?
And I can take that forward now.
Top of the head, I'm allowed to have a buddy.
I'm allowed to have a buddy or 10 or
And
2
I
or
really
5 or
like
whatever.
that.
And yeah, I'd really like that. That's something to
Nice deep breath.
develop.
And maybe you didn't learn it. When I was in kindergarten, we were assigned pairs when we would walk down the hallway, and we always had, I should have contextualized that. We would always have a buddy, and your buddy was supposed to make sure that you didn't get lost. So we were supposed to watch out for each other and made sure we stayed in the group together. So we had buddies when we were in kindergarten. Um, and so I'm sure not all of you did, but it is okay to have that. It's okay to
We
ask for that.
And I'll say that if you learned that you had to do it on your own, because that was really true, it was do it on my own or else, and the or else was I wasn't going to get tended to. I don't believe we lose the superpower by acclimating ourselves also to a very different kind of ecosystem. Um, you know, and that's part of this. And we're going to get to that subject after our break.
Mhm.
Do you want to try to do a short session with someone when we come back on?
Yeah, I want to make sure we at least touch on the last point. We can do that really quickly and then jump into a session with
Okay,
someone. So
all
yeah.
right. So we're going to
So,
pause the recording, and we invite you, if you're watching the replay, to also take a short break. Welcome back.
yeah.
Um,
Hope little integration time. Do you want to jump right into the last point and then how do
I
you
I think I'd like to practice. Our next call is going to be on the powerful pause, and so we just took a break. But there's a quality of just taking a moment and checking in with your body, just to pause before you jump back into a conversation, engagement. So how about just a few breaths? Feels good to you. You can put your hand somewhere on your body. Um, and in trauma work, we're discovering more and more clearly that connection between two people that are in a healthy connection is part of it, but also between the, the brain part of us and the rest of our body and our viscera. So like our gut, even just like giving your belly a little hug and a breath. Yeah. Let's see if there's a stretch or something that your body wants to do too. Because one of the things that we're going to be talking about in this next segment is um, a lot of times when we're anxious, we push. When we get in it, we amp it up. We use that. We try to convert the anxiety into kinetic energy. Go 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 go, and that can teach your body that, oh, well, we can go there and we can do this, but it's going to be really expensive. It's going to be expensive to us because we're going too far too fast, right? You want
Yes.
to take it from there?
Yeah. So so we talked about number one, and I'm just reiterating to try to anchor. So maybe you'll hear my voice the next time you feel stressed. One is the have to or the trap feeling. Two is getting, like letting go of that. Two is inviting some support. And three is to titrate the experience. Like you don't have to dive in the deep end. A lot of people, if you think of New Year's resolutions, people are like, I'm going to the gym every day. And they go to the gym for the first day and they do a 2.5 hour workout and they can't move for a week. Do they go back to the gym at all? Probably not. Until the next year when they make the resolution again. We want to teach our survival brain that we can do this. We want to make it a rewarding and positive experience. So like the pre-paving comes in really well. Like I think if I go for a half an hour, I can have a good time and still leave resourced. So my survival brain doesn't associate going to events with exhaustion and depletion. What is it, like going to the gym? How much can I actually do? I haven't worked out in 16 months socially, social engagements. How much can I handle? Do I have a friend I can meet for coffee for literally 15 minutes and tell them like, I'm not sure I can handle this. I might have to like order my coffee to go, but just like gentle baby workouts so that we can build up our muscles without aching or feeling depleted so much afterwards. So it's literally titrating, allowing ourselves to get stronger at this.
Very Western to try, or it's very human to try to like do it all at once and do it all in a week. Um,
Yeah.
I, from an physio-energetic, emotional, energetic standpoint, 100 days is a good way of thinking about like titrating something. And little bits can be really a huge impact for you. Little bits. So I work with someone who was very anxious with a telephone. And before ever like even thinking about calling someone, we tapped on thinking about calling someone, having their number with no pressure. In fact, a specific boundary that said, no, you're not going to call them today. Even if you feel great, like, oh, I want to call them, great. You're going to sit with the desire. and and that may seem to someone like therapy, like, oh, I've got this problem and I'm in therapy on it. But all real skills, real valuable skills, if you overdo it at the front end, what happens? You get frustrated, you get discouraged, you have expectations about how you're supposed to be. Like, I should be able to do this within a week. Um, so by giving yourself, like the word uh, titrate is a chemical word, right?
Slowly
That's a
mix it in.
baby
Slowly
steps,
add it.
micro steps. Um, for example, my micro step on the trail was to start with, like, people were not even saying hello to each other than very cursory. So my first micro step was to start noticing people that seemed to be more relaxed. So as I would like move off the trail or they would, my micro step was to use my sensors. How anxious are they? And I would even use a 0 to 10, like, oh, they're anxious at an 8. Oh, they're not anxious at all. They're just, and then there'd be someone who's like, they're anxious, but they're anxious about having a dog who's off leash and they're not supposed to. And they're looking, they have that look on their face. I started discerning, and, and, and then after about a week of that, it was, I would make a comment about something that I'd seen or the day or, the kind of social thing. And to just be open to what, but only to people that didn't strike me as being in their own world or anxious. And what I started noticing was that my body started getting acclimated to re-engaging with people. So,
And I think there's a lot about the association. We are a lot like Pavlov's dogs. If every time we socialize, we're beating ourselves up and driving ourselves, we're just going to associate socializing with a lot of effort and pain. If we can go and like, good job, I did it. I went and talked to three, like, I'm very, very shy. So when I first started socializing, I would go out every Friday night to a local bar where there were some very nice people, and I would have to, my agreement with myself is I would go for 1 hour and I would talk to three people. I could be 2 words, but like that was my thing. And after a while I would end up spending, we'd go and play pool and we'd hang out. It was really fun and I'd spend 5 or 6 hours there. But it started, my goal was to go and do a little bit, and I started associating with not being as painful. Like it was like, oh, it's kind of fun. Those people are saying hi to me because and it could be simple, like, could you pass me the peanuts or something? That was okay to talk, it count as talk. I just set the bar really low so I could just start getting there and associate my brain with, oh, it's fun to be around people now.
so one of the things that we can do with tapping is we can actually use our imagination
Mhm.
to take a step that's even smaller than maybe we would ever give ourselves permission to take,
Yeah.
right? So if there's something that you want to do and you're feeling some anxiety about it, you could take an even smaller step, but I'd like you to imagine that you walk into the room and you're invisible, okay? Intentionally, like your superpower is invisibility. And for a few seconds, you just kind of scan the room and get a feel for what's happening. And then notice how your body responds. What comes up for you? It could be something as straightforward as, I don't want to be here. And if that's what's coming up, I don't want to be here.
I don't want to be here.
Now, can you tell there's sort of a reflex? Like, I don't want to be here,
I don't want to be
right?
here.
I don't want to be here.
I don't want to be
That's
here.
when it feels like that, that's a reflex in your primitive brain. I don't want to be here.
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 I don't have to be here.
I don't have to be here.
I don't want to be here.
I don't want to be here.
I wonder what I'm picking up on.
I wonder what I'm picking up on.
So again, you just scan the room. What are you picking up on? It could be anything. Really, we humans relate in a lot of ways. For me, in one event, there was a sense of there being unfinished business. That's the term that I got, unfinished business, with one of the people that was there. And so just imagining myself going into the event, I don't want to be here. That's what came up. Am I socially anxious? Am I weak? No, that's just this isn't my imagination. They don't even know I'm there. I'm invisible. I don't want to be here. Okay, I don't want to be here. Truth is, I don't want to be here. Tap, tap, tap. Until you come out of the reaction of that, and you've got some resource to be more aware. Why? Oh, unfinished business. Oh, I've got unfinished business with that person, and I don't want to be around that right now. You see that this, by taking baby steps, micro steps, putting yourself in not even a normal, like imagining that you actually go in and you go to talk to that person that you have unfinished business. That could be downstream. You may do that in your imagination so that you calm yourself, so that it's like, this is an event where we're not going to be addressing that unfinished business. And it's okay for that to be an energy between us. And that doesn't interfere with the fact that I actually do want to be there for the things that matter. And I can set this aside. You're not going to pick up on that kind of subtlety if you're still in the I don't want to be here reaction. If I walk into a place and I don't have my invisibility cloak and I get that I don't want to be here, I will say, oh, where's the restroom? And I will go to the restroom, I'll wash my hands, and I will tap, I don't want to be here. I may not say it out loud. I think that I'm going to be heard. I'm going to be like, what's up with this? Oh, I'm actually feeling pretty soft. I'm feeling like I just want to be on the outskirts, and I was heading right into the middle of things. Oh, there's an outdoor terrace. That feels so good to me. I'm going to go to the outside terrace. Wow, the sun's going down. The birds are out. Oh, there are other people that are avoiding the big, loud party stuff right now. And we're all out there. And you see what I mean? Again, like I could have some people that would hear this and write a comment on YouTube that says, you should be stronger than that. Come on, you need to man up. No, no, I'm really clear that my guidance system will sometimes give me that I don't want to be here to get my attention so that I calm myself, the skill of calming myself. Where's the bathroom? I always ask that. They don't want you to go behind the potted plant. They really don't. Um, and wait until I get clear about my guidance. Like, where is it feeling right for me? And if it's time to take an exit, I can, because I've already given myself that choice. But I will say that that impulse as you come into a space, if you get that, like, I don't want to be here, don't assume that that's actually what's, it can be a redirection. I know that a lot of trainings teach you to push through at that point so that you go get your an hour there and three people that you promised yourself that you would get. Um, that works for some people. It obviously worked for Cathy. That would not work for me. Um, I needed something where I could really drop back until I felt my guidance about where to be, how to connect and things. And I still do that to this day. And it results in some really beautiful synchronistic experiences,
Yeah.
including the other last night. I was feeling um, we had someone I didn't know that my partner had gone for a long walk with. Um, they came back in the rain. I had tossed a towel down that had bopped her in the head. That had kind of triggered a little bit of embarrassment. I went and took care of myself. She wasn't upset. And then once I felt into it, it was like, it'd be nice. It feels like they're having a good time. It'd be nice to go down and see if they'd like to have dinner. And we had a wonderful dinner. If I had if I had stayed in the anxious space and not given myself the time to calm it down, then we never would have had the really great experience. And that's what I want. That's why we do this work, so that the thriving experiences that are available in so many situations, you can attune yourself to.
Yeah. And I think part of it is when I was first doing this, I didn't have tapping. Like when I would go to the bar and spend an hour, I was using it as an issue, like an item of teaching myself that socializing can be good. We do have a program, Breaking Out of Your Shell, if you want some support and ideas on how to be more socially outgoing and engaging. I think it's not like walking into the center of the party, but we do have a program, Breaking Out of Your Shell. It's at theintimacydojo.com/BOOYS for Breaking Out of Your Shell. If you want to take a look at that. And Rick has the center as well. If you're new to that, thrivingnow.center, I put that in the chat as well. One of the things I've noticed that's really stood out, and it came up when you were sharing this, Rick, when I'm very afraid and when I'm very tired, the feelings in my body are very similar. Both of them, I tend to be achy and tense, and my energy is low. If I'm very scared, my survival brain wants to take me away from activity. It wants me to go into a cave where I'm safe. And when I'm very tired, that's the same, tired and fearful have similar, we want to retreat and hide. The thing is, I've worked with a lot of socially anxious people that are like, oh, I'm so exhausted from being around other people, and fear is tiresome. So there's this kind of loop that goes on where our fear makes us more tired, and then we want to retreat more, so we're more afraid, so we're more tired. And especially after a pandemic, when we're reemerging and our skills are rusty, I think if we can be gentle with ourselves, we can let ourselves, like, I don't have to dive into the center of the party. I don't have to stay so long. I can pre-pave. I love, we put it in the newsletter. It was like, hey, I can call the host or hostess or email and say, hey, listen, I may have to leave early. Is that going to disrupt things? We don't even have to say why. And then they're already aware that we might have to leave early, and it can kind of make it that much easier. I want it to be easier for us to take care of ourselves while we're still being brave. It's like, okay, can I challenge myself but not too much, and can I forgive myself when I don't judge it well, when I go to the gym and I work out a little too hard or whatever. This is all a dance, and we don't have to ever get it perfect. We're learning to connect with people intimately again in person, and it's just something that is very fulfilling and rich and lovely. And also, it's scary each time. I never know when I meet someone new if they're going to be like she's super weird, or oh my God, I love her, or I could take her or leave her. Like my brain is wanting everyone to think I'm the cat's meow. And I'm not going to be for everyone. None, and a lot of people are not the cat's meow for me. I'm like, some people just have very different interests. Drew and I were geeking out on Naked and Afraid before the call started. I talked to some people about Naked and Afraid, and they're like, "Oh my god!" Like they're totally bored. So like we're gonna connect with people at different times in different ways. But if we're not out there, if we don't actually leave the house, it's really hard to find connections. It's really hard to engage with people. And life is so much richer. And I think we also get to role model that we can be vulnerable and say, hey, I'm feeling really anxious right now. I haven't been around people. This is, when I can, I share the level of truth I feel safe enough to do in the group. But I've started practicing, like, hey, even with my engineering friends, I haven't been out around people too much. I feel really anxious. And most of them are like, oh my God, thank God you said it. I'm kind of freaking out that we're not wearing masks. When we're vulnerable and we share what's real for us, the right people are going to feel really engaged with us. There's an authentic vulnerability. We're still allowed to have privacy. We don't have to share things we don't want to. But when we share vulnerably with other people, oh, it's really weird to not wear a mask. I love getting the hug, and that still feels like part of me wants to hold on really tight and not let go, and part of me wants to freak out and run and hide under the table. Like when we share those things, and sometimes I share them too vulnerably or too authentically. I guess people are like, oh, a little too much. It's okay. Like when we start engaging with a lot of people, it starts getting normalized. Like, oh, sometimes I'm a little too much, sometimes I'm a little too quiet, too. And I'm just me each moment. And other people get to engage or not engage.
Eyebrow. What if I get to be me?
When do I get to be me?
What if I get to be me?
What if I get to be me?
Some situations are hostile to that,
Some situations are hostile to that,
and I'm aware of that.
and I'm aware of that.
What if it's not all people?
What if it's not all people?
And I can use my sensors to pick up on that.
And I can use my sensors to pick up on that.
Offer a little vulnerability and see what I get back.
Offer a little vulnerability and see what I get back.
I'm learning how to calm myself
I'm learning how to calm myself
and be confident being me.
and to be confident being me. I love that. Someone shared in the chat that they have been trying to share with people they've lost their social skills over the pandemic. I've been telling people that I've become feral, which seems to make them laugh. Um, and I think they get the concept, but it's kind of, I guess it's kind of funny. So, you know, you're welcome to, if that tickles you. It makes me laugh every time I say it. I imagine I'm this cat that's like hissing at people that wants to be petted, but is a little afraid. Um, Borrow it if you like. So, I just want to thank you all for being here. I really admire people that work on the core issues that are holding us back, and the fact that you're here working on something so tough, that's a tough topic. A lot of people don't want to look at it. We had so many more people registered that will listen to the replay because being here is scary for folks. You're looking directly at the thing. And I do think being in the group together is a very powerful way to watch that. So whether you watch the replay or not, congratulations on working on this. We really hope these 3 tips will help you clear and start getting back and riding that bike a little more easily, or going to the social events and navigating them more easily, so your survival brain starts associating with fun again and you can reemerge much more gracefully than you might.
Cathy and I are both reached at support@thrivingnow.com. It comes to the two of us. And so if you have feedback, wisdom, celebrations, questions, things that you'd like some additional pointers to that are very specific to you, and you're welcome to email us. Our community meets at thrivingnow.center, And it's a place where we get to cultivate some of these connections and being seen and being, people get each other. Then you'll see that. You don't have to jump in post right away. A lot of people spend quite a bit of time just observing and getting a sense for what the vibe is with their invisibility cloak on. Yay, I love it. Um, and you're welcome to do that. And we also welcome you as a participant.
Yeah.
So
Thank you all. Have a wonderful evening.
I